Okay, so the PlayStation 1 was like pure magic for RPG fans back in the day. It gave us some of the most legendary role-playing games that people still talk about even now. From epic stories full of drama and emotions to turn-based battles that kept you hooked for hours, PS1 was a heaven for RPG lovers. Games like Final Fantasy, Suikoden, and Xenogears set the bar so high that many modern RPGs still take inspiration from them. In this video, we're going to check out 25 ultimate RPGs that made the PS1 a true paradise for gamers. Final Fantasy IX. Alright, so Final Fantasy IX on the PS1 is one of those games that really makes you feel like you're on a big fantasy adventure. The story follows Zidane, a cheerful thief with a tail, who teams up with a bunch of very different characters like Princess Garnet, a black mage named Vivi, and a knight called Steiner. At first it looks like a simple kidnapping mission, but it quickly turns into a huge journey to save their world from destruction. What makes this game stand out is its mix of humor, heart, and deep emotional moments. The characters all have their own struggles and growth, which makes you feel connected to them as the story goes on. The game also brings back that classic medieval fantasy vibe, with castles, airships, and magic, which fans loved after the more futuristic settings of earlier Final Fantasy games. On top of that, the battles, abilities, and mini-games keep you busy for hours. Overall, Final Fantasy IX is considered a timeless RPG classic and one of the best experiences the PS1 ever gave us. Suikoden II. So, Suikoden II on the PS1 is one of those games that just hits different. It's not your average RPG. It's got this massive world full of politics, betrayals, and emotional drama. You play as a young guy who suddenly finds himself leading a resistance army in the middle of a crazy war. The wild part? Your childhood best friend Joey ends up on the enemy's side, which makes the whole story super intense and heartbreaking. What's cool is how the game lets you recruit over 100 characters, warriors, thieves, cooks, even weirdos, and they all help build your own fortress and army. The battles are fun too, because it's not just the usual turn-based fights. You get epic army clashes and even one-on-one duels that feel straight out of a movie. Suikoden II balances strategy, emotional storytelling and world building in a way few RPGs do. It's one of those rare gems that makes you feel like you're living through an entire saga, and that's why fans still call it a masterpiece. Xenogears. Xenogears on the PS1 is one of the most ambitious RPGs ever, and it's honestly a mind-blowing experience. At first it seems like a simple story about a guy named Faye living in a quiet village, but things spiral quickly into giant mech battles, mysterious ancient powers, and some really deep themes about identity, religion, and fate. The game mixes traditional turn-based combat with a cool combo system where you input button sequences to pull off martial arts style moves. Plus, you also get to fight inside massive mechs called gears, which feels epic every single time. What makes Xenogears stand out is how heavy and complex its story is. It dives into philosophy, psychology, and big moral questions while still giving you intense battles and emotional character moments. It's definitely not a light RPG, but that's what makes it so special. Players often say Xenogears feels more like an experience than just a game, and even though it was made decades ago, its daring story and gameplay keep it unforgettable. Chrono Cross. Do you ever play a game that feels like stepping into a dream? That's exactly what Chrono Cross on the PS1 is like. This RPG throws you into the shoes of Serge, a boy who accidentally stumbles into an alternate world where things are the same yet completely different, including a shocking twist where, in that world, he's supposed to be dead. From there, the adventure kicks off into a deep story about fate, time, and parallel realities. One of the coolest things about Chrono Cross is the massive roster. You can actually recruit over 40 different characters, each with their own unique abilities, designs, and backstories. The battle system is also really different, using stamina points and an elemental grid instead of just simple turn-based commands, which makes fights feel strategic and fresh. And of course, the music is legendary. Seriously, it's some of the most beautiful game music ever made. While it's connected to the famous Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross stands on its own as a bold, colourful and emotional RPG that truly pushed the limits of what the PS1 could deliver. Vagrant Story. So, Vagrant Story on the PS1 is one of those games that feels totally different from the usual RPGs. Instead of being about big parties or recruiting tons of characters, it focuses almost completely on one guy, Ashley Riot, an elite agent who's sent on a mission to track down a dangerous cult leader in the mysterious city of Leamonde. The story is dark, full of political twists, betrayals, and a lot of mystery that slowly unfolds as you play. What makes Vagrant Story stand out is its unique gameplay. Battles aren't random. You fight enemies directly in the 3D world, and you can target specific body parts in combat, making it feel way more tactical. Plus, the whole weapon and crafting system is super deep, letting you customize and build weapons to deal with different types of enemies. The game has this moody, gothic atmosphere, with amazing visuals and music that still hold up even today. Vagrant Story doesn't just feel like an RPG. It feels like stepping into a dark fantasy novel, where every battle and every choice matters, making it one of the PS1's most unforgettable experiences. Final Fantasy Tactics. Ever wondered what happens when Final Fantasy goes full chessboard drama? That's Final Fantasy Tactics for you. You step into the shoes of Ramza Bulva, a noble cadet who gets wrapped up in the messy Lion War when rival dukes start fighting for the throne. The plot doesn't hold back. It's all politics, betrayal, shady church deeds, and conspiracies that unravel as you play. The gameplay? Deep, tactical goodness. Battles play out on a grid. You pick jobs like Knight, Geomancer, or Chemist, around 20 options, and mix main and sub-jobs to create wild combos. Skills stick with you, so customizing your team's abilities becomes pure strategy. You can rotate the view to scope out terrain and attack smarter. It's also crazy influential. Many gamers say it's the reason they fell in love with tactical RPGs. Directed by Yasumi Matsuno, with music by Sakimoto and Iwata, this game's got a legacy. Over 2.4 million copies sold worldwide by 2011, and Ivalice would become home to future Square games like Vagrant Story and Final Fantasy XII. Final Fantasy VII. Have you guys ever thought what happens when a game feels like a blockbuster movie? That's Final Fantasy VII for you. You play as Cloud Strife, a former super soldier turned mercenary who joins eco-activists to stop the evil Shinra Corporation from draining the planet's life force, called Mako. As the story unfolds, Cloud and his friends face Sephiroth, a legendary warrior gone mad, who's planning to summon a catastrophic meteor to absorb the planet's energy and become a god. The gameplay brings together turn-based battles with thrilling real-time action through the active time battle system, plus the materia system, letting you slot magic and abilities into gear, super customizable and fun. The visuals wowed players back in the day with stunning pre-rendered backgrounds, full-motion video scenes, and 3D characters. Nearly 5 million copies sold by 1998, making it one of the best-selling games of its time, and a key to popularizing RPGs worldwide. Persona 2 Innocent Sin. Imagine a high school in 1999 where gossip literally becomes reality. Welcome to Persona 2 Innocent Sin on PS1. You play as Tatsuya Suo, a seemingly ordinary senior at Seven Sisters High School, who, along with classmates like Lisa, Eikichi, Maya, and Yukino, discovers the terrifying power of rumors thanks to a mysterious figure known as the Joker. He summons people through a creepy Call Yourself game, and if they lack dreams, they get hollowed out entirely. To save their friends and the city of Sumaru, the group must confront these twisted wishes using their inner powers, personas, which manifest as other sides of their psyche. Gameplay mixes classic turn-based battles with a truly wild twist. You can negotiate with demons, charming them through quirky choices like singing or acting macho to gain tarot cards for persona fusion, plus items or allies. Rumors collected from NPCs can be spread via the Kuzunoha detective agency to actually alter the world, open shops, spawn hidden items, or unlock new areas. The original 1999 Japanese PS1 version was never officially localized in the West due to staffing and sensitive content issues, though fan translations filled that gap. The 2011 PSP remake did reach international audiences, adding updated UI, remixed music, extra scenes, and side quests, though it's notably easier than the original. On the storytelling front, it dives deep into themes of kotodama, the spiritual power of words, and confronts heavier topics like identity, memory, and hidden guilt amid its supernatural mystery.
I must hurry! I don't want to get scolded by Mother again.
Valkyrie Profile. Let's talk about Valkyrie Profile, an RPG unlike any other. You play as Lenneth, a Valkyrie sent by Odin and Freya to Midgard to recruit fallen souls called Einherjar for the looming battle of Ragnarok. Exploring is split between soaring over the world map to sense dungeons and towns, then switching to side-scrolling areas where Lenneth can jump, slide, or use ice crystals to solve puzzles and freeze enemies. Battles are turn-based with a twist. Each party member is linked to a controller button, letting you chain attacks into epic combos. Nailing timing fills a gauge that unleashes devastating special moves. The game plays out in chapters with limited time. Every action you take uses up precious periods, and how well you perform affects the ending. With its unique structure, emotional character snapshots, and myth-inspired world, Valkyrie Profile remains one of the most creative PS1 RPGs ever made.
Alex, couldn't you hear me? I've been flying all over for the last half hour calling for you. But I should have known you'd be here.
Oh no, where else would I be?
Lunar Silver Star Story Complete. Lunar Silver Star Story. Complete on the PS1 is a beloved classic that brought the magic of old-school JRPGs to a new generation. The game follows Alex, a wide-eyed kid from the cozy village of Berg, who dreams big about becoming a dragon master like his hero. With his childhood friend Lunar, who's got a voice that can move mountains, and his snarky, flying cat-dragon pal, Noel, Alex kicks off a wild adventure across a colourful world. On PlayStation, the game really shines, with animated cutscenes, voice acting, and a soundtrack that instantly hits you with nostalgia. You'll join a crew of quirky characters, solve puzzles, and take on turn-based battles against some pretty iconic villains. There's a lot of heart, humour, and friendship throughout the journey, making it super easy to root for the gang. Lunar on PS1 is pure RPG comfort food. If you love epic stories, fun characters, and that vintage anime vibe, this game is a must-play throwback that still holds up today. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Let's talk about Castlevania Symphony of the Night, a game that took the old-school platformer and turned it into full-on adventure exploration. You play as Alucard, Dracula's half-human son, who wakes up to investigate the mysterious disappearance of Richter Belmont and figure out what's up with this haunted castle that's just appeared out of nowhere. What truly blows you away is how non-linear it is. Instead of running through levels, you roam a massive 2D castle map full of hidden rooms, secret paths, and tons of upgrades. You level up, grab better gear, and even transform into a bat, wolf, or mist to get to places you couldn't before. Combat is fast and fun. Use all sorts of swords, axes, clever spells, sub-weapons, and even summon familiars to watch your back. And just when you think you're done, bam! You unlock the inverted castle, a flipped version of the whole map, new bosses, and real final showdown mode. It's got character, it's got atmosphere, and yeah, it's quirky translation lines like, "What is a man? A miserable pile of secrets," are cheesy but iconic, giving the game tons of charm. People still rave about the music, the pixel art, and how Symphony of the Night basically defined what a Metroidvania should be. Dragon Quest VII. How wild would it be to literally rebuild your entire world? That's what Dragon Quest VII on the PS1 lets you do. You begin on Estard Island, a tiny fishing village that turns out to be just the tip of the iceberg. By collecting stone fragment tablets, you unlock vanished worlds, then travel back in time to save them, restoring forgotten civilizations as time marches forward. This game is insanely long. Over 100 hours, just for the main story if you're playing on PS1. You explore each island's mini-adventure, facing everything from monster invasions to volcano disasters, and slowly piece together a huge, emotional narrative. It's not just about time, it's about immersion. The job class system lets you master different roles, human or even monster-based, mix skills, and craft unique combinations. Sure, the graphics are dated, polygon backgrounds and choppy sprites, but fans feel they add a nostalgic charm that matches the storytelling vibe. Wild Arms. Okay, let's chat about Wild Arms on the PS1. This RPG is like walking into a dusty, old-school, Wild West fantasy that just works. You explore the broken world of Legaia, guiding three heroes: Rudy, who can fire off ancient relic guns called arms; Jack, a swordsman wrestling with a past mistake; and Cecilia, a princess who can talk to the planet's spirits, the Guardians. Gameplay mixes 2D overhead exploration with clever Zelda-style puzzles, think bombs, grappling hooks, lighters, to unlock new paths and solve dungeons. Battles shift you into full 3D turn-based fights, where each character brings unique abilities: Rudy's arms, Jack's sword skills, and Cecilia's magic spells. Despite rough 3D combat graphics, the atmosphere shines thanks to its Western vibes, charming anime-style cutscenes, and an unforgettable soundtrack by Michiko Naruki that perfectly fits the setting. Fans still gush over it. Front Mission 3. So, Front Mission 3 on the PS1 is where mecha vibes meet high-stakes political drama in a turn-based RPG, with a twist that still feels fresh today. You play as Kazuki Takamura, a test pilot caught in a major conspiracy after a massive explosion at a military base. And from there, the story splits into two different campaigns depending on your early choice, double the content and replay value. Combat revolves around mechanized suits called Wanzas that you fully customize, swap arms, legs, weapons, CPUs, and even learn skills based on what you equip. You can blow off an enemy pilot, eject them mid-battle, and hop in their Wanza, a seriously cool tactical gameplay loop. Outside fights, the game features an in-game internet. Surf forums, send emails, change your desktop wallpaper, even run VR training simulations, and it's addictive. In short, Front Mission 3 on the PS1 is a hidden gem blending deep customization, branching narratives, tactical depth, and a futuristic twist on world building. It's absolutely worth a play. Breath of Fire 3. Back in the PlayStation era, Breath of Fire 3 shook things up. It's the first in the series to bring 3D environments and voice acting to the table. You play as Ryu, the last of the dragon-born brood, waking up from a crystalline tomb inside a Chrism mine and escaping into a world populated by humans and talking animals. Joined by a quirky cast like Thief Ray, Botanist Momo, and Beastman Gar, you're on a journey to uncover the fate of your people and confront an ancient goddess. Battles are seamless and turn-based, popping up without loading screens. You can even learn enemy skills while fighting. Then there's the Masters system. Characters apprentice under NPC Masters to grow stats and gain rare new abilities. The Dragon Genes system? Wild. You collect Dragon Gene fragments to morph Ryu into tons of customizable dragon forms, mixing powers for epic flexibility. The world is bright, detailed, and beautifully animated thanks to fluid pixel sprites set in 3D environments. Add a jazzy, pop-influenced soundtrack, and minigames like fishing or building a fairy village, and you've got a unique RPG flavor only a PS1 classic could deliver. In short, Breath of Fire 3 on the PS1 is a heartfelt, bold step forward in the series, mixing story, strategy, customization, and world building into a memorable adventure with real charm.
The current time is 13:40 hours. Now passing through Parm airspace. Our ETA is 15:30 hours.
Grandia. So, Grandia on the PS1 is like childhood adventure turned into a game. Seriously nostalgic magic. You take on the role of Justin, a spirited young dreamer from the port town of Parm, who's itching to become an explorer just like his dad. When he and his buddy Sue stumble into ancient ruins, they awaken a hologram princess named Lita, leading them on an epic journey to discover the mythical civilization of Alent. But of course, there's a power-hungry empire sniffing around too. Gameplay ignites the sense of adventure. Enemies roam the field instead of triggering random fights and sneak up on them for sweet preemptive hits. Battles use a dynamic IP, initiative point bar. Hit enemies while they're preparing attacks to cancel them, a system that feels way more interactive than your standard turn-based setup. On the systems side, you level up by using weapons and magic. Each use boosts skill levels and grants stat bonuses. Use the same spells or weapons enough, and you unlock even more powerful ones. Parasite Eve. Imagine an opera night gone horribly wrong, and you're the only one left standing. That's Parasite Eve, straight up. On Christmas Eve 1997, in NYC, rookie cop Aya Brea survives a freak opera house fire where the entire audience bursts into flames, except her and the singer, Melissa Pierce, who mutates into a creature called Eve and warns of a mitochondrial uprising. Cue a sci-fi horror adventure across real-world spots like Carnegie Hall, Central Park, and the Museum of Natural History, all rendered with freaky cinematic detail. What makes the gameplay wild is its blend of survival horror vibes with RPG smarts. Random battles start right where you are, no switch to a battle screen. You dodge enemy attacks in real time, wait for your active time bar to fill, then choose between guns, items, or using parasite energy, aka your powers. As Aya levels up, you get bonus points to boost stats, gear, or your action bar speed. Finish the game, and the New Game Plus unlocks the Chrysler Building, 77 floors of randomized chaos, and a showdown with, well, spoilers. In short, Parasite Eve is a unique PS1 experience, a thrilling mix of horror, RPG mechanics, and cinematic storytelling that still creeps people out today. King's Field. Imagine getting lost in a dark, forbidding dungeon where every step could be your last. That's King's Field on the PS1. This game is From Software's debut. Released just days after the PlayStation launched in Japan, you play as Jean Alfred Forrester, searching for your father deep in the underground catacombs of Verdite. A sprawling, fully 3D first-person RPG dungeon crawl that was groundbreaking at the time. It's slow, hard, and atmospheric. Combat and magic drain a stamina meter, making each hit count. Rush in, and you'll pay the price. The world is oppressive and creepy, with maze-like passages, traps, random skeletons, and dripping corridors that make one wrong turn feel game-over worthy. Still, it's a cult classic. One fan called it a console version of Ultima Underworld, and praised its seamless exploration, noting seamless, no-loading screens, even between levels. Another highlighted its legacy. This early From title laid the groundwork for what had later become the Souls series, with its focus on brutal difficulty and cryptic design philosophy. Legend of Mana. What if your game world was a blank canvas and you got to paint the adventure yourself? That's Legend of Mana for you. You start by choosing your character, male or female, grabbing a weapon, and placing an artifact to form your hometown. Then you build out the world by placing other artifacts on the map, each spawning unique towns, dungeons, or forests filled with quests and quirky stories. No main storyline forces you forward. It's all about your own creative journey. The visuals are absolutely jaw-dropping, lush, hand-drawn backgrounds that look like a watercolor fairy tale. Critics often say they're some of the most ornate 2D graphics seen on the PS1, and that soundtrack by Yoko Shimomura, pure magic. Gameplay is real-time action RPG style, with up to 2 companions, or a pet monster, and a unique combat system where weapon-based special techs fill up as you fight. Vandal Hearts. Ever wonder what it would look like if chess suddenly got a taste for blood and drama? That's Vandal Hearts on the PS1. This tactical RPG lets you lead Ash Lambert and his crew across a political mess of betrayal, rebellion, and ancient magic. The story throws you into fights against corrupt officials, creepy cults, and all sorts of nastiness while you're chasing down mystical artifacts and trying to prevent all-out chaos in the realm. Gameplay is turn-based and all about positioning. Imagine moving your squad on grid maps with 3D backgrounds, but 2D sprites, figuring out the right spot for archers, knights, and mages. Each character gets their own class, and there's a kind of rock-paper-scissors vibe to combat. The objectives vary. Sometimes you need to wipe out every enemy. Other times you have to pull off clutch rescues or hit specific targets. Plus, it's notorious for its dramatic geysers of blood. Seriously, it's almost comical how over the top it gets. It's linear, challenging, and a total gem for fans of classic no-nonsense strategy RPGs on the PlayStation. Mega Man Legends 2. Back in the PS1 era, Mega Man Legends 2 cranked up the adventure and took the Blue Bomber far beyond his roots. This time, you're Mega Man Volnut, flying from island to island on the search for the fabled Mother Lode, a treasure that could change humanity's fate. With Roll, Data, and even those wacky Bond pirates in the mix, the story gets bigger and dives deep into Mega Man's past, all while dangling more mysteries than ever before. Gameplay feels like an action RPG explorer's dream. You hit up new towns, dive into sprawling ruins filled with traps and reaverbots, solve puzzles, and swap out gear to give Mega Man all sorts of wild upgrades. Controls and camera are much tighter than the first game, making blasting and dodging smoother. Bosses are epic. Dungeons each have their own twist, and you even contend with underwater zones and changing difficulties. Plus, how you treat NPCs can change little outcomes along the way. It's a playful, challenging quest with tons of heart, one of those PS1 adventures that's full of charm, discovery, and pure fun.
Brave Fencer Musashi! Let's do it!
Brave Fencer Musashi. Crack open a bottle of Thirst Quencher and let's dive into Brave Fencer Musashi on the PS1, a totally bonkers, action-packed RPG that refuses to take itself too seriously. You're Musashi, a spiky-haired, wisecracking swordsman, yanked from his world to save the whimsically named Alukanite Kingdom from the over-the-top Thirst Quencher Empire. Armed with two swords, Fusion for speedy combos, and Lunar for big elemental finishes, you slice, dice, and absorb abilities from monsters as you hunt for 5 magical scrolls to power up your sword and rescue a kidnapped princess who's got sass to spare. Gameplay hits that sweet spot between hack and slash and RPG. You get real-time battles, platforming, puzzles, and even a day-night cycle, plus you got to keep Musashi rested or he'll just pass out mid-adventure. Townsfolk you rescue teach you new skills, upgrades are everywhere, and there's always something goofy or wild hiding around the next corner. It's all tied together with vibrant visuals, hilarious dialogue, and quirky bosses. If you want an offbeat classic, Brave Fencer Musashi still brings the fun, the weird, and a whole sword's worth of style. Koudelka. Alright, let's move to Koudelka on the PS1, a game that blends gothic horror with turn-based RPG mechanics, offering a unique experience for its time. Released in 1999 by Saknoth, Koudelka is set in 1898 at the eerie Nemerton Monastery in Wales. The story follows Koudelka Iasant, a Romani psychic, who, after receiving a mysterious summons, arrives at the monastery. There, she teams up with adventurer Edward Plunkett and Bishop James O'Flaherty to uncover dark secrets and confront supernatural forces. The gameplay is a fusion of survival horror and traditional RPG elements. Exploration is reminiscent of early Resident Evil games, with fixed camera angles and pre-rendered backgrounds. Combat is turn-based, taking place on a grid where characters can move and perform actions each turn. Weapons degrade with use, adding a layer of strategy to battles. One of the game's most notorious features is its brutal difficulty. If players neglect to retrieve a crucial pendant early in the game, they face an instant and graphic game over upon reaching the final boss. Despite its niche appeal, Koudelka laid the foundation for the Shadow Hearts series, influencing its themes and gameplay mechanics. Legend of Legaia. Alright, let's move to our last discussion on the PS1, a hidden gem that still holds a special place in the hearts of RPG fans. Legend of Legaia. Released in 1998, this game takes you to a world shrouded in mist, where humans once lived harmoniously with creatures called Seru. However, the mist has turned these Seru into monstrous foes, and it's up to a young boy named Varn and his companions to restore balance. What sets Legend of Legaia apart is its unique battle system. Instead of traditional turn-based combat, players input directional commands on a grid to unleash powerful attacks known as arts. This system adds a layer of strategy and excitement to battles. The game's story, while straightforward, is emotionally engaging, with themes of friendship, sacrifice, and hope. The world building is rich, and the soundtrack complements the game's atmosphere beautifully. Despite its initial success, Legend of Legaia remains underrated. Its sequel, Legaia II Dual Saga, didn't capture the same magic, leaving the original as a nostalgic favorite for many. Alright, let's wrap this up. The PS1 era was a golden age for RPGs, with classics like Final Fantasy VII, Suikoden II, and Chrono Cross leading the charge. These games introduced us to unforgettable characters, deep stories, and innovative gameplay that set new standards for the genre. Whether you are exploring the vast world of Xenogears, engaging in tactical battles in Final Fantasy Tactics, or uncovering mysteries in Parasite Eve, the PS1 offered a rich tapestry of experiences. Even lesser-known titles like Vagrant Story and Legend of Legaia found their dedicated fan bases, proving that the console was a haven for RPG enthusiasts. Looking back, it's clear that the PS1 didn't just host RPGs, it defined them.